December 1982. Paktia Province, Afghanistan. A land of jagged mountains, brutal cold, and silence so deep it pressed into your bones like ice. Captain Mikhail Volov stood at the edge of a narrow ridge, his breath forming slow clouds that vanished into the wind. He was 43, 20 years in the Red Army, Czechoslovakia, Angola, Lebanon. He'd seen things most men only imagined in nightmares, but this place, this quiet, felt different. Behind him, the squad waited in silence. 8 men, hardened veterans, transferred in from different units of the 40th Army. Not by accident. These were the ones you sent when others didn't come back, and others hadn't come back. 3 recon teams, 17 men vanished in the last month. No gunfire, no distress signals, no bodies, just disappearance. The kind that makes high command nervous. So they sent Volov. And Volov brought the kind of men who didn't ask too many questions. Lieutenant Sokolov stood nearby, adjusting the strap on his Kalashnikov. "Beautiful country," he muttered. "Shame we have to die in it." Volov gave him a dry look. "Save the fatalism for your poetry, Lieutenant." The wind shifted, cold, dry, carrying only the sound of their breath and distant rockfall. Then came the map. Sergeant Katov, built like a bear, beard thick enough to hide a grenade, approached with it in hand. "Cave systems 5 kilometers northeast, sir. Vehicle can't go further. We move on foot from here." Volov nodded. "Standard recon formation. Ivanov on point. Let's move." And just like that, they stepped off the ridge into a valley no one came back from. They marched in silence. Narrow goat paths wound along cliffs that dropped hundreds of meters into the frozen valley. Loose gravel, no handrails, one mistake, and you vanished. For hours, nothing but cold air and the crunch of boots on stone. Then, Ivanov stopped. No words, just a raised fist. The column froze. Volov stepped beside him. "What is it?" Ivanov's voice was calm. Too calm. No birds, no tracks, no wind. He was right. The mountains, so full of echoes and distant calls just days ago, were dead silent, like something had pressed pause on the world. The squad waited, listening, only the sound of breath, and beneath it, a pressure, low, unnatural. Could be weather, Suv offered, but he didn't believe it. No one did. An hour later, they reached the mouth of the cave, and it was nothing like what they expected. 15 meters tall, twice as wide, a perfect arch, smooth, black stone etched with patterns too worn to read. Volov stepped forward. "This isn't natural." Popov ran a hand along the wall. No chisel marks, no signs of erosion. It's like it was made. The men exchanged glances. Not fear, not yet, but something colder, older. Lieutenant Sokolov swallowed hard. "The locals call it Cheyenne, the Devil's Hole. Even the Mujahideen won't go near it." Volov stared into the darkness ahead. A low, steady breeze flowed out from the cave mouth, colder than the air around it, and carrying something sharp, metallic, like blood and ozone. Flashlights on, weapons ready. Let's find out what happened to our men. They stepped inside, and the mountain swallowed them whole. The darkness was immediate and absolute. Even with flashlights, the beam only reached a few feet ahead. The rest, swallowed in black. The air changed too. Colder, heavier, not just a lack of oxygen, but like they were breathing something old, something that had waited. Ivanov led, moving carefully along the polished stone floor. The tunnel sloped gently downward, too smooth, too perfect. No stalactites, no debris, just the same black walls curving endlessly into the earth. Suv muttered behind them, "This isn't right. Natural caves don't look like this." Petrov's radio crackled, a high-pitched squeal, sharp enough to make them wince. Then, voices. Not Russian, not any language they recognized. Whispers, layered on top of each other. Dozens, hundreds, each one wrong in a different way. "Turn it off," Volov ordered. Petrov clicked the dial. Nothing changed. The voices continued, like the signal was coming from inside the cave. Sokolov stepped closer to the wall, flashlight in hand. He froze. "Sir, you need to see this." The wall, perfect in black, now shimmered, as though it breathed. Beneath the surface, symbols, intricate, faintly glowing, pulsing, slow and steady, like a heartbeat. Popov reached toward them, drawn in. Volov barked, "Don't touch it." Too late. His fingertips brushed the stone, and the wall pulsed just once. The light flared across the chamber, then vanished. The floor beneath their feet vibrated, barely noticeable, but enough to feel. Something had changed, something new. They were there, and it had just opened its eyes. They moved deeper, flashlights sweeping the walls, revealing more symbols, more motion, always just at the edge of sight. Volov checked his watch. 1,300 hours, but it felt later. "Mark every 20 meters, he ordered. "Chalk arrows. Point back to the entrance." Popov scratched a thick arrow onto the wall, white chalk against endless black. They advanced. The tunnel curved left, the slope growing sharper. Suddenly, Ivanov stopped cold. "Captain," he whispered, "look at this." Volov stepped forward. There, on the ground, muddy footprints, boot prints, Soviet issue. But the pattern was strange, not from one person, from 3, 4, maybe more. They overlapped, spiraled, like someone or something had walked in circles. "Our missing patrol?" Sokolov asked. "Maybe," Volov said. But then, where did they go? The footprints ended abruptly. No turn, no break in stride. Just gone. The air thickened. Petrov adjusted his radio again. Still no signal, not even static. Like the air's dead. "Keep moving," Volov said. The tunnel opened suddenly into a massive chamber, larger than anything they'd seen before. Their flashlights barely touched the far walls. At the center, a circle, 3 meters wide, metallic, etched with the same symbols, but deeper, sharper, fresh. Popov stepped toward it, voice low. "This wasn't made long ago." Volov crouched beside it. The metal wasn't rusted, wasn't old. It was warm, alive, and then a sound. Software, low, like wind passing through bone, but not from behind, from beneath, coming up, through the metal. Volov stood, weapons ready, because something down there was listening. Volov stared down at the circle. Its surface shimmered, not with light, but with something deeper, like water reflecting a sky that didn't exist. The symbols pulsed faintly, steady, measured, like a countdown no one had started. Popov crouched beside it, mesmerized. "It's not metal," he murmured. "It feels like skin." Volov took a step back. "Don't touch it." But Popov already had. Fingertips brushing the edge. Just for a second, he flinched, eyes wide. "It's warm, and it moved underneath." No one spoke, not at first. Then, the humming began, low, vibrating up through their boots, through their bones. Lights flickered, flashlights sputtered, some cutting out entirely. Petrov's radio screeched with static. Then, voices. Russian, but wrong. Too many, speaking too fast, layered on top of each other like a broken record spinning backward. "Captain?" Suv said, I don't think we're alone." A whisper passed through the room. Not a sound, but a thought, an idea. Something like, "We see you." Ivanov turned sharply, weapon raised. Movement, right flank, shadows. Flashlights swept across the chamber. Nothing, just stone, dust, and that pulsing metal disc. But the feeling didn't fade. They were being watched, not from the shadows, from everywhere. The walls, the air, the gaps between sound. Sokolov stepped backward and froze. His light had caught something, a reflection on the far side of the chamber, a mirrored surface, just tall enough for a man, perfectly square, perfectly still. "That wasn't there before," he whispered. Volov's voice was flat. "It is now." They approached the mirror, cautious, silent, weapons raised. It didn't reflect them, not properly. Their flashlights lit the chamber, but in the glass, darkness, only darkness, and movement, shadows, sliding just beneath the surface, not random, not aimless, like something was watching them from behind the glass. Popov stepped closer. It's waiting." Volov clenched his jaw. "Back away, now." But the glass pulsed, a shimmer like heat off pavement. And then it opened. Not cracked, not shattered. Opened. The surface rippled and a figure stepped through. Man-shaped, Soviet uniform, eyes hidden in shadow. Familiar, too familiar. "That's me," Sev whispered. The thing turned to face them. Its skin, too smooth. Its proportions, almost right, but not quite. Office, in ways the brain noticed before the eyes did. The smile came next. Wide, empty, too many teeth. "Identify yourself," Volov shouted, rifle up. The thing tilted its head, then spoke, with Suv's voice. "You invited us. You opened the door." A second figure stepped through, then a third, then more. Each one, a distorted version of them. Volov, Ivanov, Sokolov, all wrong. Eyes too dark, joints bending the wrong way, voices layered like echoes in a cavern with no end. "What the hell is this?" Ivanov gasped. "Not copies," Volov murmured. "They're wearing us, learning how to be us." The air grew colder, heavier, and inside every mind, a whisper. "We are the Watchers. We wear your faces, and soon, we will wear your world." They ran. No formation, no direction, just pure instinct. Get away from the mirror, get away from themselves. The tunnel twisted around them, stone walls rippling like water under skin. Flashlights flickered. Petrov's radio screeched, then fell silent, then came back. But this time, the voice on the other end was Volov. "Captain Volov, do you copy? We're trapped. They're coming through." Volov skidded to a halt. "Who is this?" "You. You're me." Still in the chamber. The others stopped too. Eyes wide, breathing heavy. "This is a loop," Sokolov whispered. "A trap, like a maze that folds back into itself." The hallway behind them, gone, sealed in smooth black stone. No chalk marks, no air movement, no sign they ever came that way. Ivanov checked his watch, stopped, frozen, exactly 2:47 p.m. Suv pulled out his compass. The needle spun, aimless, confused. Nothing works. And then they heard it. Not footsteps, not voices. Breathing. Close, too close. But when they turned, nothing. Only their own shadows, flickering, in the wrong direction. "We're not in a cave anymore," Volov said, low and steady. "We're inside something." The walls pulsed. The symbols came back. But this time, they moved on their own. spiraling, shifting, like they were alive, like they were watching. Sokolov stepped too close to one. It reached for him, not physically, but mentally. His eyes rolled back, body stiffened. He dropped. Volov rushed over, held him upright. Sokolov blinked twice, then whispered, "They showed me everything." "What did you see?" Volov asked. Silence. Then, versions of us, in different caves, different times, some screaming, some obeying. He looked up, eyes hollow. "We've been here before, Captain, again and again." Volov helped Sokolov to his feet. "You okay?" Sokolov nodded slowly, but his hands trembled, his eyes didn't blink enough, and his voice. "They're showing us things, not all at once, little pieces, like they want us to remember." The tunnel shifted again, not physically, not in space, but in feeling. What had been stone now felt like walls inside a mind. Ivanov raised his rifle, pointed it at a shadow, then lowered it. "It looked like my brother. He died 2 years ago." Volov turned to him. "You saw your brother?" "Number, I felt him, like he was behind the wall, crying." Then, a sound, not heard, but remembered. A lullaby, in Russian. One Volov's mother used to hum when he was 6. The melody curled around him, wrapped itself inside his thoughts. He whispered, "That's not possible." But the others heard it too. Suv's face had gone pale. "It's in our memories. They're not just copying our bodies. They're walking through our lives." Volov gritted his teeth. "They're trying to break us from the inside out." The tunnel opened again. A chamber, identical to the one with the mirror. Only this time, there were 3 mirrors. Each one reflected something different. The first, the current chamber, but empty. No people, just flickering lights. The second, the same space, but destroyed. Walls cracked, blood smeared across the floor. The third, an infinite hallway of mirrors within mirrors within mirrors. In the center of the room, a single item sat on the floor. Aid's helmet, Soviet issue, blood-stained, and inside, a photograph. Volov knelt down slowly. He picked up the picture. His hands began to shake. It was a photo of himself, but older, wearing civilian clothes, standing beside a grave, his own grave. The photograph slipped from Volov's fingers. It hit the stone floor without a sound. None of them moved, none of them breathed, until a voice, not loud, not distant, spoke from every mirror. "You see now, you have always seen." The voice was soft, measured, and wrong, like dozens of voices speaking through a single mouth. Volov stood slowly, his hand instinctively going to his rifle. "What do you want from us?" The mirrors rippled, and from the center one, a shape emerged, not walked, peeled through. It looked human, male, Soviet uniform, a calm face, but the longer you looked, the more you saw the lies. Eyes that didn't blink, skin that didn't breathe, a smile that belonged to something that didn't understand why humans smile. "You call us the Watchers," it said, "but we do more than watch." It turned slowly, facing each of them. "We learn, we adapt, we evolve." Ivanov raised his rifle. "Why mimic us?" "To survive," it replied. "This form, yours, is efficient, adaptable, durable." Then it took a step closer. "But it lacks one thing: choice, the ability to sacrifice. You possess this. You give up your lives for each other, for ideas, for meaning." Its head tilted, bird-like. "We do not understand that, not fully. And that's why we're still here," Suv asked, bitter. "You're studying us." The figure smiled wider. "We want your permission." They froze. "What did you say?" Volov whispered. "A threshold can be taken, but it is more powerful when given, freely, willingly." The mirrors pulsed in sync. "One of you may open the door. Truly open it. If you choose, we will give gifts in return. Knowledge, peace, immortality." Volov clenched his jaw. "And if we say no?" The lights dimmed, the walls breathed, and the voice returned. Not calm this time, not soft. "Then we take it anyway." Silence, thick, suffocating, like the air had turned to glass. Volov stared at the thing. "No one's giving you anything." The figure smiled again. "You already have. When you touched the plate, when you looked too long in the mirror, the exchange began." Suv stepped forward. "What do you mean? Gifts?" Volov turned sharply. "Don't listen to it." But Suv didn't look away. "They said knowledge, immortality. If they're already inside our heads, what choice do we have?" "You sound like you're considering it." Volov growled. "I'm trying to survive, Captain." Suv's voice was low, wounded. "Back in that chamber, I saw something." His eyes were glassy now, unfocused. "I saw a world where none of this ever happened. We made it home. I saw my daughter." Ivanov stepped in. "Suv, you don't have a daughter." Silence. Suv blinked twice. I don't." Volov's blood ran cold. "They're not just offering illusions. They're rewriting us." The Watcher tilted its head again. "Memory is soft, malleable. We shape, we smooth, we give comfort before we take." Suv stumbled backward, breath caught in his throat. I remembered holding her hand, pink coat, ribbon in her hair. Volov grabbed his shoulder. "It's not real. They planted it. That's how they get you to open the door." Suv's voice cracked. But it felt real. The mirrors pulsed again, a low hum, like wind under the skin. "One of you will choose," the Watcher said. "You always do." And then it vanished, back through the mirror, leaving only their reflections. But this time, the reflections smiled back, all of them, at once. The silence stretched, too long, too heavy. Volov scanned the room, his men, their eyes. Suv sat against the wall, staring into space. His lips moved, but no sound came out. Ivanov wouldn't look at him. Volov broke the silence. "We need to move." Ivanov spoke without turning. "How do we know he's still him?" Suv's head snapped up. "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" "You remembered a daughter, Suv. A daughter that doesn't exist. They put it in my head. You heard what they said. Or maybe you believed it." Ivanov shot back. "Maybe you wanted it." The room seemed to darken, not visually, emotionally. The trust they'd clung to for survival cracked. Volov raised a hand. "Enough. No one goes anywhere alone. We move together. We watch each other." He turned toward the far tunnel. It had opened again, a faint draft brushing his face. Real air, mountain air. A way out or another trap? Volov didn't care anymore. "We find the chamber with the plate. We end this." They moved in silence, flashlights sweeping smooth walls covered in symbols that now pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeats. At every step, a whisper, just low enough to pretend it wasn't real. "Let go. Let us in. Become." Suddenly, Ivanov stopped, raised his rifle. Captain Suv isn't casting a shadow. Volov turned. Suv stood there, motionless, face blank, backlit by the dim glow of the wall runes. And, sure enough, no shadow, not even in the flashlight beam. Suv blinked. "Guys." Ivanov's voice was ice. "What are you?" Suv's lip quivered. "I don't know anymore." And then his face shifted. Just a flicker, but enough. The wrong cheekbone, The wrong blink. Volov raised his rifle. Suv didn't move. "I didn't open the door," he whispered, "but I think something came through anyway." No one moved. Suv stood motionless, hands by his side, expression caught between guilt and something else. "I can feel it," he whispered. "Inside me. It's not speaking. It's just waiting." Volov gritted his teeth. "How long?" "Since the mirror. Maybe before. I don't know anymore." Ivanov raised his rifle. "Then we end it now, before it spreads." "I'm still me," Suv barked. "I haven't hurt anyone." "Not yet," Ivanov snapped. Volov's voice cut through. "Enough." He stepped between them, lowered both rifles with his hands. "He's infected, not converted, not fully. That means we still have time." "To do what?" Ivanov asked. "Hope he doesn't change mid-mission?" "To use him." They both turned. Volov looked Suv in the eye. "They want a door, a key. You're a door they didn't plan for." Suv's eyes widened. "You want me to be bait. Number. I want you to be the lock." The lights around them flickered, soft pulses running along the walls. The cave was listening. Volov leaned in. "We get to the plate. We close it. You hold the connection long enough to shut them out for good." Suv's hands trembled. "And if I lose control?" Volov didn't answer. He didn't have to. Suv nodded. "You shoot me." Ivanov raised his rifle again. "I already had the safety off." They kept moving. The tunnel narrowed. The symbols grew denser, more chaotic. The cave felt tighter, hungrier. At the far end, another door, not stone, not metal. Mirror. But this time, their reflections weren't waiting. Only one stood in the glass, smiling. Suv. And this one had no eyes. The mirror stood at the end of the tunnel, tall, silent, breathing, in a way that glass should never breathe. Suv stared at it, then at his own reflection, which didn't move, didn't blink, just smiled, with a face that belonged to him, but eyes that were black and endless. "This is it," Volov said, quiet. "The last door." Ivanov tightened his grip on the rifle. "So what now?" "We do what they don't expect." Volov turned to Suv. "We go through on our terms." The mirror rippled. The air grew colder. Time thickened. Suv exhaled slowly. "Captain, if I don't come back..." "You will." Volov cut him off. "But if you don't, you buy us time. That's all we need." Suv stepped forward. Every step felt heavier, like the ground beneath him wanted him to stay. He reached out, touched the glass. It bent. Like liquid, it pulled. And then, he was gone. The mirror snapped back into place. Still, smooth, silent. Volov and Ivanov waited. Seconds. Minutes. Nothing. Then, cracks. Tiny fractures raced across the surface. The mirror trembled. And then, a voice. Suv's. "Captain, I see them." "Suv." "They're inside the mirror, thousands, waiting." "Can you stop it?" "I don't know, but I think I can hold the door shut." From here, Volov's heart twisted. "What happens to you?" Long pause. Then, "Doesn't matter." The mirror flared, blinding white light, and when it faded, it was gone. No mirror, no symbols, just stone, cold, still, sealed. Volov sank to one knee. Ivanov stood silent. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. Suv had stayed behind. To close the door, they made their way back in silence. No tunnels shifted, no whispers, just rock and the faint, familiar sting of mountain air. Volov led. Ivanov followed, each step heavier than the last, as if the cave didn't want to let them go. But eventually, they emerged. The sky above burned gold with early morning light. Snow, wind, birdsong. It all felt fake, Too still, too quiet. Ivanov collapsed onto a rock, exhaling sharply. We made it. Volov said nothing. He stared back at the cave entrance, now just a scar in the stone, sealed forever. Maybe. Do you think he's alive? Ivanov asked softly. Volov's jaw tensed. I think he gave us time. He looked at his palm. The mark was still there, fainter, but pulsing, like a heartbeat. He closed the door. Volov whispered, but I don't think it locked. Ivanov nodded slowly. What do we do now? Volov stood, looked out across the valley. Below, the camp. Tents, soldiers, routines. None of them would ever understand what had been kept at bay. We go back, he said. We warn them. And if they don't believe us, Volov's eyes narrowed. Then we wait, we watch, just like they did. He turned away from the mountain, but in his mind, the mirror was still there, waiting, watching, and in the reflection. Suv still stood, not moving, not blinking, just smiling. But this time, his eyes were black. Some doors don't need keys. They just need permission. And the most dangerous ones are the ones we open with good intentions. In the end, the Watchers didn't use brute force. They didn't conquer. They observed, listened, learned, and they waited for us to reinvite them in. Whether out of fear, or hope, or grief, sometimes the real threat isn't the monster at the gate. It's the one already wearing our face, smiling, understanding us better than we understand ourselves. Because when you can't trust your memory, when your reflection starts lying back at you, the scariest question isn't what's real, it's who am I still allowed to be? Many soldiers return home from war carrying more than just physical scars. They carry silence, disconnection, haunting dreams, and sometimes a feeling that part of them never made it back. PTSD isn't just trauma, it's a fracture in identity. You question what's real. You question if the person in the mirror is still the one who left. This story, fictional as it may be, is about the invisible battles many veterans face every day. And like Volov, they don't always get medals. Sometimes they just get mornings where they can still breathe. And that is enough reason to keep going. If this story kept you on edge, if you feel some truths are buried too deep to stay hidden, then hit that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning. More secrets await. More doors are waiting to be opened.